the civilized nominal Oromo, with null wisdom of 𝐿, gatekeepers of the predatory settler colonial empire. This paper examines the socio-political phenomenon of the civilized nominal Oromo, individuals of Oromo descent who have assimilated into the ideological and cultural apparatus of the Ethiopian imperial state at the expense of their indigenous identity, epistemology, and collective liberation. Utilizing the framework of 𝐿, the Oromo national consciousness, philosophy, and worldview, as a baseline of emancipatory wisdom, this paper explores how the Ethiopian settler colonial system manufactures a comprador class. Stripped of authentic 𝐿, termed herein as possessing null wisdom, this demographic functions as the primary gatekeepers, ideological shield-bearers, and administrative enforcers of a predatory settler colonial empire. By analyzing the mechanics of assimilation, psychological alienation, and the utility of these actors in suppressing genuine Oromo self-determination, the study illuminates the internal contradictions within the contemporary Horn of Africa's geopolitical landscape. The anatomy of Oromo assimilation. The predatory settler colonial Abyssinia Emperor, contemporary catalogued under stolen name, Ethiopian state, historically consolidated through the violent subjugation of diverse nations and nationalities in the late 19th and early 20th centuries military conquest, armed with European firearms, ammunition to teeth, finances, mentorship, empire builders such as Alfred Ilg, and local invading killer hordes and deep-seated cultural hegemony. Central to this imperial project has been the assimilation of indigenous elites into the Abyssinian-centric cultural, linguistic, and political matrix. Within this historical trajectory, the Oromo, the largest and ancient and independent nation of the Northeast Africa, have been the primary target of both physical subjugation and psychological reengineering. The product of this systematic deculturation is the civilized nominal Oromo, an individual who retains Oromo biological ancestry and superficial markers of identity, but has internalized the fictitious civilizational superiority of the colonizer. Stripped of 𝐿, the holistic, egalitarian, and democratic ethos of the Oromo people, these individuals operate with a null wisdom regarding their indigenous heritage. Consequently, they have become the most effective guardians of the most backward predatory settler colonial apparatus that historically oppressed, marginalized, and continues to exploit their kin. 𝐿 versus imperial hegemony. Defining 𝐿. 𝐿 is not merely an ethnic label. It is an epistemological framework, a way of being, and an emancipatory philosophy rooted in the Gada system, an indigenous democratic socio-political institution. 𝐿 encompasses principles of egalitarianism, sira, reciprocity, 𝐿𝐿, cosmic balance, safu, and collective solidarity. It represents a worldview that rejects hierarchy, tyranny, and the subjugation of human dignity. The settler colonial imperial matrix. Conversely, the Ethiopian imperial state was constructed on hierarchical, feudal, and assimilationist foundations. Drawing from Gramscian theories of cultural hegemony and Fanonian perspectives on the colonized elite, the artificial Ethiopian state engineered a system where upward mobility was contingent upon the total or partial abandonment of indigenous identity. To become a civilized, Yetimer or Yeseletin, in the historical context of their names, was to accept Amharic language, orthodox religious standards, and imperial narratives that delegitimized Oromo history, government, and cosmology. The civilized nominal Oromo, characteristics and psychology. The civilized nominal Oromo occupies a liminal yet functional space within the empire. They are often credentialed elites, politicians, bureaucrats, academics, and security officials who display specific behavioral and ideological traits. Epistemicide and self-alienation. To secure their position within the imperial structure, these actors must participate in the epistemicide of their own people. They view traditional Oromo institutions, spirituality, and language through the derogatory lens constructed by the colonizer, often labeling them as backward or uncivilized. The comprador mentality. Functioning as intermediaries between the imperial center and the colonized peripheries, they execute policies that maintain resource extraction, land dispossession, and political subjugation. They secure their own provisional privilege by proving themselves more loyal to the empire than the core imperial elite themselves. Weaponized assimilation, Medemmer. They are frequently deployed by the state as public faces to legitimize oppressive policies against the Oromo nation. By pointing to these nominal figures in high office, the empire attempts to mask its structural anti-Oromo bias, propagating the illusion of inclusion. The null wisdom of Oromama. The absence of authentic Oromama in the nominal Oromo elite creates a psychological and intellectual vacuum, defined here as null wisdom. Ignorance of indigenous philosophy. While these individuals may possess formal Western or traditional Abyssinian education, they are profoundly illiterate in the philosophy of Safu, moral boundaries, and Gada governance. Complicity in violence. Devoid of the communal accountability mandated by Oromama, their political calculus is driven entirely by opportunism and survival within a predatory system. This explains their chilling complicity in state-sanctioned violence, mass displacement of Oromo farmers, and the suppression of legitimate democratic aspirations. Inversion of solidarity. True Oromama commands solidarity with the oppressed and a commitment to justice, adals. The nominal Oromo elite invert this principle, aligning their solidarity with the oppressor class, thereby acting as a fifth column within the broader national liberation movement. Gatekeepers of the predatory empire. In the contemporary political landscape, the utility of the civilized nominal Oromo has evolved. As the Ethiopian state faces structural crises, ethnic federalism challenges, and rising consciousness among the Oromo youth, Kiru/Kari, the empire relies increasingly on these gatekeepers to manage the crisis. Ideological laundering. They author narratives that frame Oromo self-determination as narrow nationalism or a threat to national unity, effectively parroting the chauvinism of historical settler elites. Internal pacification. By occupying leadership roles within regional and federal structures, they neutralize revolutionary momentum by promising reform while delivering the continuation of imperial subjugation under a new guise. The phenomenon of the civilized nominal Oromo, with its null wisdom of Oromama, represents one of the most sophisticated tools of the Ethiopian settler colonial empire. By co-opting individuals from the colonized group and stripping them of their civilizational memory, the empire perpetuates its dominance from within. The liberation of the Oromo nation and the broader democratization of the Horn of Africa requires not only the dismantling of external structures of oppression, but also a profound cultural and psychological decolonization. Overcoming the debilitating impact of the nominal elite necessitates a conscious return to and revitalization of authentic Oromama as a counter-hegemonic force capable of exposing and dismantling the gatekeepers of the predatory empire. Thank you to all my listeners, watchers, subscribers, and commentators for your incredible support. Your views, likes, and comments drive this channel forward, and I am deeply grateful for this amazing community we are building together.